They say you cannot choose your family. But what if your family cannot protect you? Then you have to choose someone who can. My name is Iris Whitmore. I am 7 years old, and this is the day I chose my father. The apartment on Sullivan Street smelled like motor oil and desperation. Iris had learned to recognize that smell over the past 3 months. It clung to her father's work clothes when he came home late. It lingered in the kitchen, where bills piled higher each week. It settled into the threadbare couch, where Caleb Whitmore sat now, his head in his hands, while 3 men stood over him like shadows waiting to swallow the light. The afternoon sun cut through the dirty window in sharp angles. Dust particles danced in the beams. Iris watched them from her hiding spot behind the bedroom door. Her tiny fingers wrapped around the doorframe. She had mastered the art of being quiet, being still, making herself invisible when dangerous men came calling. But she had not yet learned how to stop being afraid. $80,000, Caleb. The voice belonged to a man with slicked back hair and a scar that ran from his temple to his jaw. Iris did not know his name, but she knew he worked for someone called Silas Vaughn. She knew because she listened. Because listening kept you alive when you were small and the world was full of people who could hurt you. I only borrowed 25. Caleb's voice cracked. For Angela's treatments, you said 6 months. You said reasonable interest. Interest is whatever I say it is. The scarred man circled Caleb like a predator studying prey. You've had your 6 months. Now you pay, or we take collateral. I don't have anything left to give. Oh, I think you do. The scarred man's eyes moved toward the bedroom door, toward Iris. Time fractured into sharp-edged moments. The man's hand reaching into his jacket, Caleb lunging forward with a father's desperate strength. The sound of fists meeting flesh, once, twice, 3 times. Her father's body, crumpling to the floor, blood spreading across his lower lip like a dark flower blooming. Next week, Caleb, 80,000, or we take the girl. The girl, not Iris, not even a name, just a thing to be taken. A piece of collateral in a game she had not asked to play. The men left. The door slammed. Silence filled the apartment like water filling lungs. Iris emerged from her hiding place. Her legs felt wooden and unsteady. She knelt beside her father. Blood dripped from his mouth onto the stained carpet. "Daddy!" Caleb's eyes opened. They were brown like hers, kind eyes that had forgotten how to hope. "I'm sorry, Iris girl. I'm so sorry." She wanted to tell him it was okay, that everything would be fine. That was what daughters were supposed to say to fathers who were breaking apart. But Iris Whitmore had learned something important when her mother died 2 years ago in a hospital bed that smelled like antiseptic and endings. She understood that sometimes sorry was not enough. Sometimes you needed action. "I have to go out for a bit, Daddy." "No, stay inside. Lock the door." But Iris was already moving, already planning, already choosing. Because in that moment, watching her father's blood seep into carpet fibers that would never come clean, Iris Whitmore made a decision that would change both their lives forever. She chose not to be a victim. She chose to find a protector. She chose Dominic Wolfe. Boston's North End breathed differently in late afternoon. The streets narrowed like arteries carrying people and secrets through neighborhoods where everyone knew everyone and strangers stood out like blood on snow. Iris ran through those streets with a purpose that surprised her. Fear still lived in her chest, a wild thing beating wings against her ribs. But beneath the fear lay something harder. Something that felt like the metal her father shaped in his shop. Something that would not bend. She knew where she was going. Caleb had mentioned it once months ago when he thought she was not listening. Dominic Wolfe runs the North End. Dangerous man, dangerous business. But he has rules. He protects the neighborhood, especially the kids. Iris did not know what those rules were. Did not know if they would apply to a 7-year-old girl with tangled hair and sneakers held together with duct tape. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty: she had no other options. Behind her voices, male voices, angry voices. There the Whitmore kid, Iris's heart became a drum. She ran faster, her backpack bouncing against her spine. 6 blocks. That was how far the cafe was. The place where Dominic Wolfe conducted his business. 6 blocks through streets that suddenly felt endless. Her lungs burned. Her legs screamed. But Iris Whitmore had discovered how to push through pain. You learned that when you watched your mother waste away. When you held her hand through treatments that made her vomit and cry. When you were strong because someone had to be. 5 blocks. The men were closer now. Their footsteps echoed off brick walls. One of them laughed. Actually laughed, like chasing a child was entertainment. 4 blocks. Iris stumbled. Her knee hit pavement. Pain exploded up her leg. Get up, her mind screamed. Get up or they take you. They take you, and Daddy never sees you again. She got up. 3 blocks. Her vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. Crying could come later. Crying was for when you were safe. Right now, survival was the only thing that mattered. 2 blocks. She could see it now. The cafe with its faded green awning. Tables outside where men sat drinking espresso and speaking in low voices. One of those men would be Dominic Wolfe. Had to be. 1 block. The hand grabbed her shoulder. Iris spun, instinct taking over. She bit down on the nearest finger. Tasted blood. Heard a man curse. His grip loosened just enough. She ran. The cafe entrance loomed. Iris burst through it like a drowning swimmer breaking the surface. The bell above the door chimed. Conversations stopped. Every eye turned toward her. And there at the corner table sat a man who radiated the kind of power that made other men step aside. Dominic Wolfe. He was older than her father, maybe 55. Salt and pepper hair cut short, a scar over his left eyebrow that looked like someone had tried to split his face open and failed. Wore a dark suit that probably cost more than 3 months of Caleb's rent. His eyes were winter sky grey, cold, the color of storms that promised snow and nothing else. Those eyes locked onto Iris. Time slowed. The men chasing her crashed through the cafe door. 2 of them, breathing hard, looking around wildly until they spotted her. There you are, you little. Iris ran, not away from them, toward Dominic Wolfe. She grabbed the front of his expensive suit with both hands. Her fingers, small and dirty and trembling, clutched the fabric like it was the only solid thing in a world that had turned to quicksand. And she said the words that would bind their fates together. Please, mister, pretend you're my dad. Silence fell over the cafe like a held breath. Dominic Wolfe stared at the child clutching his suit. She was small, too small, all sharp angles and hollow cheeks. Her hazel eyes carried the weight of experiences children should never bear. Behind her, the 2 men froze, their faces drained of color faster than water circling a drain, because they recognized him. Everyone in the North End recognized Dominic Wolfe. Boss Wolfe, the scarred man's voice, had lost all its earlier confidence. We didn't know we were just collecting on a debt. The kid's father, the child. Dominic interrupted his voice, quiet and cold as a knife drawn from ice water. Seems to be under the impression that I am her father. His hand moved to rest on Iris's shoulder. The gesture was gentle, almost protective, but the message it sent was clear as a broken glass cutting skin. Are you calling my daughter a liar? The scarred man's mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. I thought not. Dominic's calculating gaze never left the men. Gentlemen, I believe you have somewhere else to be. They left, fast. The bell above the door chimed their retreat. Only then did Dominic look down at the girl still gripping his suit. You can let go now. Iris loosened her fingers, stepped back, but she did not run, did not apologize. Just stood there with her chin lifted in defiance of everything that had chased her to this moment. Thank you, she said. You're welcome. Dominic studied her with the intensity of someone reading a language he had not spoken in years. What's your name? Iris Whitmore. And those men, Iris Whitmore, why were they chasing you? Because my daddy owes them money. Money he borrowed to save my mommy. But mommy died anyway, and now they want to take me until daddy pays. The words came out flat, factual, as if she were reciting a grocery list instead of describing her own kidnapping. Dominic leaned back in his chair. Around them, the cafe had resumed its normal rhythm. Conversations restarted. Espresso cups clinked, but everyone was listening. Everyone always listened when Dominic Wolf spoke. How much does your father owe? 25,000, but they say it's 80 now because of interest. Predatory lending. Dominic's jaw tightened. Who do they work for? Iris hesitated, then reached into her backpack, pulled out a crumpled business card, held it out. The card read, Silas Vaughn. Financial Solutions. Something flickered across Dominic's face, an emotion too quick to catch. But when he spoke again, his voice carried an edge that could cut through steel. Silas Vaughn is a bottom feeder who preys on desperate people. And you, Iris Whitmore, are far too smart to have run here by accident. It was not a question. It was an observation. Iris met his storm-colored eyes with her hazel ones. In that moment, she looked nothing like a frightened child. She looked like someone who had made a calculated decision and was waiting to see if it would pay off. My daddy said you have rules that you protect kids in the North End. Your daddy is correct. Then protect me. The simple directness of it hit Dominic harder than any punch he had taken in 30 years of violence. This child had not come here to beg, had not come here to cry. She had come here to negotiate. Garrett Reed, Dominic's second-in-command, materialized at the table. 45 years old, built like a brick wall, loyal as they came. He had been listening from the bar. Boss, take Miss Whitmore to Beatrice's bakery. Make sure she gets cleaned up and fed. Dominic stood. I need to have a conversation with Silas Vaughn. Just like that, Iris's voice stopped him. You're going to help me. Dominic turned. For the first time in longer than he could remember, he felt something crack in the armor he had built around himself. This child, this brave, terrified, impossibly strong child, reminded him of someone he had failed to protect. I knew you'd help, Iris said quietly, because my daddy said you protect kids, and I need someone to protect me. How did you know I would say yes? Because. Iris shouldered her backpack, ready to follow Garrett. You have sad eyes, like you lost someone, and people who lost someone remember what it feels like to need saving. She walked away, just like that, leaving Dominic standing in the cafe with those words echoing in his skull. Sad eyes, someone he had lost. Catherine, his sister, dead 8 years now, leaving behind a son Dominic had been protecting from the shadows ever since. This child saw too much, understood too much. And Dominic Wolf realized with the certainty of stones dropping into deep water that Iris Whitmore had just changed the course of his life forever. Beatrice Sullivan's bakery sat 3 blocks from the cafe, tucked between a laundromat and a barbershop that had been run by the same family for 4 generations. The place smelled like bread and cinnamon and safety. Iris stood in the small kitchen in the back, holding a mug of hot chocolate she had not yet tasted, watching through the doorway as Dominic made phone calls in the main shop. His voice was low, controlled, but Iris could hear the steel underneath. I don't care who gave you permission. The Whitmore debt is cleared, all of it. No, this is not negotiable. Tell Silas Vaughn that if he comes within 5 blocks of that family again, he'll answer to me personally. A pause. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. He ended the call. Made another, this one to a different number. Caleb Whitmore. This is Dominic Wolf. Your daughter is safe. She's with me. No, she's not in danger. Quite the opposite. A long pause. When Dominic spoke again, his voice had softened slightly. Your debt, it's gone. All of it. Consider it paid in full. Because that's what fathers do, Mr. Whitmore. They protect their children. Through the doorway, Iris saw her father's answer affect Dominic, saw the man's jaw tighten, saw him close his eyes for just a moment. Take care of your daughter. She's braver than most men I know. He ended the call, stood there in the empty bakery, sunlight streaming through the windows, dust motes dancing around him. For the first time he looked tired, old, human. Beatrice emerged from the kitchen, wiping flour from her hands. She was 60 years old, with steel grey hair pulled back in a bun and perceptive eyes that missed nothing. "That child," she said, nodding toward Iris, "has been listening to every word." "I know, and you're just going to let her. She's earned it." Beatrice studied him with the familiarity of 20 years of friendship. "This isn't just about helping a desperate father, is it?" "No. She reminds you of Catherine." Dominic's hands clenched into fists, released. "She reminds me of what Catherine would want me to be." "And what's that?" "Better." Iris chose that moment to step out of the kitchen. The hot chocolate was half gone now, warming her from the inside. She looked at Dominic with those ancient eyes. "Thank you for helping my daddy." "You're welcome." "But I can't go home yet," Dominic frowned. "Why not?" "Because there's other kids, 7 of them, and they can't run away like I did." The temperature in the bakery seemed to drop 10 degrees. "What did you say?" Iris set down her mug with the careful precision of someone who knew that what came next was important. Life or death important. "When those men grabbed me yesterday before I escaped, I heard them talking. They have a warehouse at Pier 17. They keep kids there. 7 kids whose parents can't pay. They're waiting for ransom." Dominic exchanged a look with Garrett, who had been standing guard by the door. "Iris." Dominic knelt down to her level, his sharp gaze searching hers. "Are you saying you were captured before and you escaped?" "Yes." "And you didn't mention this because I knew you'd send me home if I told you." Iris's chin lifted, that familiar defiance. "But I promised those kids I'd come back for them. I told Ruby, she's 6, that I'd bring help. I told her someone would save us." "Ruby?" "Detective Thorne's daughter. She's been there 3 days." "The twins have been there a week. Maya's the oldest. She's 10. She takes care of the little ones." Each name landed like a stone in still water, creating ripples, expanding outward. Dominic straightened. His face had gone hard, carved from granite. "You know their names." "I listened. I always listen." Iris took a breath. "My mommy told me before she died that listening can save your life. So I listened. I learned their names. I learned the guards' schedules. I learned where the exits are." "How long were you there?" 4 hours. "They grabbed me from the park near school, put me in a van, took me to the warehouse. But the guard got drunk, started playing cards. I climbed out a window." She said it so matter-of-factly, as if escaping kidnappers was a normal afternoon activity. "And then you ran here, to me." "I ran here to you." Dominic was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried something Iris could not quite name. Respect maybe, or recognition. The acknowledgement of one survivor seeing another. "Iris Whitmore, you are either the bravest child I have ever met or the most reckless. Can't I be both?" Despite everything, the danger, the implications, the weight of what she had just revealed, Dominic almost smiled. "Yes, I suppose you can." Beatrice crossed her arms. "So what now, Dominic? You can't just storm a warehouse." "No, I can't." Dominic pulled out his phone, started scrolling through contacts. "But I can gather intelligence, call in favors, put together a team." "How long will that take?" 24 hours, maybe less. And those kids, Dominic's jaw clenched, will have to wait. "No." Iris's voice cut through the room, small but absolute. "They can't wait. Ruby's is scared. She's not eating. The twins cry at night. They need help now. And rushing in without a plan gets everyone killed. Then make a faster plan." The audacity of it, this 7-year-old girl giving orders to the most powerful man in the North End, would have been comical if it were not so deadly serious. Garrett cleared his throat. "Boss, if Vaughn really has 7 kids, this is bigger than collection work. This is kidnapping for ransom, federal crime." "I'm aware." "Which means someone's protecting him, someone with resources." Dominic's eyes narrowed. The Benedettos. The name hung in the air like smoke from a gun. Iris did not know who the Benedettos were, but she saw the way Dominic's face changed when he said it, saw the way Garrett's hand moved instinctively toward his jacket, where she suspected a gun was hidden. "They're moving into Boston," Garrett said, "testing boundaries, using Vaughn as their point man." and targeting children to intimidate families. Dominic's voice had gone cold again. Arctic cold, the kind of cold that killed. They're declaring war. What do we do? Dominic looked at Iris, really looked at her. This small girl with tangled hair and eyes that carried too much knowledge. This child who had run through 6 blocks of hostile streets to find him, who had escaped kidnappers and promised 7 other children that help was coming. We get those kids out. Iris's face transformed. Hope bloomed there like flowers pushing through concrete. Really, Way, really. Wenpei, tonight. Beatrice sucked in a breath. Dominic, that's not enough time. I know. You'll be going in without proper reconnaissance, without backup, without... I know. Dominic's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His entire body went rigid. The color drained from his face. Garrett saw it. Boss. Dominic held up the phone. On the screen was a photograph. 7 children in metal containers. Chains visible. Fear etched on every small face. And beneath the photo a message. Come alone. Midnight. Pier 17. Or they all die. But it was the second photo that made the world stop spinning. A boy. Maybe 8 years old. Brown curly hair. Brown eyes. Tied to a chair in what looked like an office. Fear on his face. But also defiance. The same defiant chin Dominic saw in every photograph he kept hidden in his desk drawer. The boy was wearing a school uniform. The name tag read Theo W. And beneath that photo a second message. Found your secret wolf. The nephew you've been hiding for 8 years. Choose carefully. Dominic's hand trembled. Just once. Just enough for Iris to notice. Who is that? She asked quietly. No one. But his voice cracked on the word. You're lying. Dominic looked at this child who saw too much, who understood too much, and he made a decision that went against every instinct he had honed over 30 years of survival. He told her the truth. His name is Theo. He's 8 years old, and he's my nephew. The words fell between them like stones into deep water. Garrett's face went white. Boss, how did Vaughn? I don't know. Dominic's fingers tightened around the phone until his knuckles went bone white. I don't know how he found out. Iris stepped closer. You've been protecting him, haven't you? From far away, without him knowing. Yes. Why? And there it was, the question that contained multitudes. The question whose answer reached back 8 years to a rainy night and a car crash that changed everything. Dominic sank into the nearest chair. Suddenly, he looked every one of his 55 years. More. His mother was my sister, Catherine. The name came out rough, like speaking around broken glass lodged in his throat. She died 8 years ago. Car accident on Route 93. Theo was just an infant, barely 8 months old. He paused. The bakery was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator in the back. Catherine wanted out of this life, out of the violence. She was going to testify against the criminal organization, going to help put them away. But the night before she was supposed to meet with the prosecutor. He did not need to finish. Iris understood. Even at 7 years old, she understood. They killed her. They made it look like an accident, brake failure. She went off the road, into a concrete barrier, died instantly. Dominic's voice was hollow. Theo survived, barely. He was in the back seat, protected by his car seat. But Catherine, he stopped, breathed, continued. I couldn't take him, couldn't raise him, because everyone I love becomes a target. Everyone I get close to dies. So I put him in the foster system. Good people, safe people. But I've been watching, sending gifts, making sure he has everything he needs, from a distance. Because you love him, Iris said simply. Because I failed his mother, and I will not fail him. Garrett was already moving. I'll call the team. Full mobilization. We go in hard and fast. No. Dominic stood, the decision settling over him like armor. The message said, come alone. If I bring an army, Vaughn kills them all. It's a trap, obviously. So you're just going to walk into it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Iris tugged on Dominic's sleeve. What about the other kids? If you go in alone, how will you get everyone out? It was the question Dominic had been avoiding. The impossible equation. One man, 8 children, unknown number of guards, a warehouse specifically chosen for its isolation and lack of witnesses. The mathematics of survival did not add up. I don't know, he admitted. For the first time since she had run into that cafe, Iris looked scared. Really scared. Because the man she had chosen to protect her had just admitted he did not have all the answers. But we'll figure it out, Dominic added. Together. Together. You know the warehouse layout. You know the guards' patterns. You've met the children. Dominic knelt down again eye level with Iris. I need your help, but I need you to understand something first. This is dangerous. More dangerous than anything you've ever done. I know. People might die. I know. You might die. Iris was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was steady, certain, old beyond her years. My mommy died even though the doctors tried to save her. Those kids are going to die if nobody tries to save them. I'd rather die trying than live, knowing I could have helped and didn't. The words hit Dominic like a physical blow. This child, this impossible, brave, heartbreaking child. Okay then, he held out his hand. Partners. Iris took it. Her child's grip disappeared in his large one, but her hold was firm. Partners. Beatrice made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. You're both insane. Probably, Dominic agreed. What do you need from me? Keep Iris safe until midnight. And then, he hesitated. Then pray I don't get us all killed. The next 6 hours passed in careful preparation. Garrett called in every favor owed. Assembled a team of 12 men, all veterans of Dominic's organization, all willing to die if necessary. At 11:45, they loaded into 3 black SUVs. Iris sat between Dominic and Garrett in the lead vehicle. The city passed by outside the windows, lights and shadows, people going about their normal lives, having no idea that somewhere in the darkness 8 children waited for rescue or death. Dominic's phone buzzed one more time. Another photo. This one just of Theo. Closer, more detailed. The boy's eyes were brown, like Catherine's had been. And beneath the photo, a final message. Midnight Wolf, don't be late, clock's ticking. Dominic showed the photo to Iris. That's your nephew, she said. That's my nephew. We're going to save him. Yes, we are. Promise. Dominic looked at this child who had chosen him, who had run through dangerous streets to find him, who had somehow seen past his reputation to something worth saving. I promise. The SUV turned onto the street leading to Pier 17. The warehouse loomed ahead, dark and silent against the Boston harbor. Inside those walls, 8 children waited. And Iris Whitmore, 7 years old, brave beyond reason, prepared to walk into hell itself to bring them home. Chapter 6. The Warrior Detective. The warehouse at Pier 17 crouched against the harbor like a sleeping beast. 3 stories of corrugated metal and broken windows, rust bleeding down its sides. The kind of building where screams would go unheard and bodies could disappear into the dark water beyond. Iris stared at it through the SUV window. Her reflection stared back, a small girl with tangled hair and ancient eyes. Behind her reflection, the warehouse waited. You're scared. Dominic's voice was quiet. Not a question, an observation. Yes. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Keeps you alive. My mommy used to say that being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing it anyway. Your mother was a wise woman. Iris turned from the window. Did you know her? No. She died slowly. Took 6 months. Every day she got a little weaker, a little smaller, until one day she just stopped. Iris's voice was steady, factual, the way children speak when emotion would break them. I was 5. I learned to cook, to clean, to call 911 when she couldn't breathe. I learned that sometimes love isn't enough. Dominic felt something crack in his chest. This child, this impossibly old child. Is that why you ran to me, because you learned that love isn't enough? I ran to you because love without power is just watching people die. Iris met his winter grey eyes with her hazel ones. And I'm done watching. Before Dominic could respond, headlights cut through the darkness. Another vehicle approaching. Not one of theirs. Garrett's hand moved to his weapon. Boss, hold position. The car pulled up beside them. A sedan. Unmarked. The driver's door opened and a woman stepped out. Margaret Thorne looked like she had not slept in 3 days. Her auburn hair was pulled back tight enough to hurt. Her detective's shield gleamed on her belt, but it was her eyes that told the real story. Red-rimmed, haunted, the eyes of a mother whose child was missing. She walked straight to Dominic's window. He rolled it down. Detective? Wolf. Her voice was raw. I'm coming in with you. We discussed this. You stay with Team Alpha. Ruby is my daughter. My only daughter. I'm not staying outside while strangers bring her home. If you come in, you're compromised. Your career. I don't give a damn about my career. The words exploded out of her. Then quieter, broken. Please. She's 6 years old. She's afraid of the dark. She sleeps with a stuffed rabbit named Melpeter Whiskers. She needs her mother. Iris opened the car door, stepped out before anyone could stop her. Margaret looked down at her, confusion crossing her exhausted features. You're the Whitmore girl, Iris, and you're Ruby's mom. How do you... I met Ruby when I was in the warehouse. She told me about you, about how you read her stories every night, about how you make pancakes shaped like hearts on Sundays. Iris took Margaret's hand, the gesture so simple, so human. She's brave like you. She takes care of the littler kids. She tells them stories so they don't cry. Margaret's knees buckled. She caught herself against the car, tears streaming down her face now. Is she okay? Is she hurt? She's scared, but she's okay. I promised her I'd come back. I promised I'd bring help. Iris squeezed Margaret's hand. And I always keep my promises. Margaret knelt down, pulled Iris into a hug so tight it hurt. The detective's body shook with silent sobs. Thank you. Thank you for being there for her. You don't have to thank me. That's what people do. They help each other. When Margaret finally pulled back, something had changed in her face. The desperation was still there, but now it was tempered with purpose, forged into something harder. What do you need me to do? Dominic had watched the entire exchange, had seen how naturally Iris connected with this broken mother, how easily she offered comfort while carrying her own fear. You stay with Iris. You don't let her out of your sight. If things go wrong, you get her out first. What about the children? Garrett's team will extract them, but Iris is your primary responsibility. Margaret looked at Iris, then back to Dominic. Understanding passed between them. He was giving her a purpose, a focal point for all that maternal instinct that had nowhere to go. I won't let anything happen to her. See that you don't. They had 30 minutes until midnight. 30 minutes to prepare for what could be a massacre. Dominic gathered his team in the shadows behind an abandoned shipping container 2 blocks from the warehouse. 12 men, all hardened, all loyal, all willing to die. But it was the boy who appeared from the darkness that changed everything. Uncle Dominic. Everyone spun, weapons drawn, aimed at a teenager who stood with his hands raised, tears streaming down his face. Not Theo. Theo was 8, held captive inside. This boy was 15, lanky, dark hair falling over frightened eyes. Tommy Rizzo, son of Vincent Rizzo, who ran numbers for Dominic's organization. Tommy, Garrett lowered his weapon. What are you doing here? I had to warn you. I had to. The boy's voice cracked. They have my dad. Dominic stepped forward. Explain. Now. Silas Vaughn. He came to our house 3 days ago. Said if my dad didn't help him, didn't feed him information about your operations, he'd kill me. Kill my little brother. Tommy wiped his face with shaking hands. Dad didn't want to. He's loyal to you. But Vaughn had pictures of us. At school, at home, everywhere. So Vincent's been the leak. He didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. But Dominic's voice lacked its usual steel because he understood. God help him, he understood. What would he not do to protect Theo? Iris stepped forward, studied Tommy with that unnerving intensity. You're scared, but you're not lying. Tommy looked at her. Who are you? Someone who knows what it's like when bad people threaten your family. Iris turned to Dominic. We can use him. Use me how? You said Vaughn thinks your dad is working for him. So call him. Tell him you're at the warehouse, that you saw Dominic's team setting up, that he should move the prisoners. Understanding dawned on Garrett's face. Create confusion. Make them move. When they do, they'll be exposed. But my dad will be saved along with everyone else, Dominic said. But only if you help us. Tommy's hands were still shaking, but he nodded, pulled out his phone. What do I say exactly? Iris stepped closer. Tell him you followed us, that there's 3 teams, more than they expected, that they should move the kids to the boat dock instead. There's no boat dock. I know, but they don't know that we know that, so they'll waste time arguing, reorganizing. It'll give us the opening we need. Everyone stared at this 7-year-old girl who was out thinking career criminals. Dominic almost smiled. Make the call. Tommy did. Put it on speaker so they could all hear. Mr. Vaughn, it's Tommy Rizzo. I'm at the warehouse. My dad told me to follow Wolf's crew and they brought an army. At least 40 guys, military gear. They're setting up on all sides. Silas Vaughn's voice crackled through the speaker. Angry, suspicious. Why should I believe you? Because my dad's helping you. Because I don't want him hurt. They're planning to breach at midnight from 3 points. But if you move the kids to the boat dock on the south side, they won't see. You'll have time to escape. A long pause. Then, South Dock. There is no South Dock. Yes, there is. It's hidden behind the old containers. My dad showed me once. Please, Mr. Vaughn, if you stay there, everyone dies. Another pause. Muffled voices, arguing. Then, fine. We'll check it out. But if you're lying, kid, your father pays the price. The line went dead. Tommy looked like he might vomit. Did it work? We'll know in 5 minutes, Garrett said. They waited in silence. The harbor wind cut through their clothes, carrying the smell of salt and rust and old violence. Iris stood next to Margaret. The detective's hand rested on her shoulder, protective, maternal. You're very smart, Margaret said quietly. I have to be. Small people can't fight with fists, so we fight with thinking. But did your mother teach you that? My mother taught me that the world is full of people who will hurt you, but it's also full of people who will save you. You just have to be brave enough to find them. Margaret's throat worked. I'm glad Ruby found you. I'm glad too. She's nice. She shared her food with the twins even though she was hungry. That's the kind of person who deserves saving. 4 minutes. Dominic checked his weapon. A Glock 19, clean, reliable, loaded with 15 rounds that might not be enough. 3 minutes. Garrett distributed comm units, small earpieces that would keep all teams connected. Before they moved out, Dominic pulled up surveillance footage on his tablet. He'd called in a favor. Federal agents were already en route, staged 3 blocks away, waiting for his signal to move in and make arrests. The camera Iris would wear wouldn't just record. It would broadcast directly to FB command. 2 minutes. Iris felt her heart beating. Fast. Too fast. Fear crawling up her spine like spiders made of ice. 1 minute. Movement. The warehouse's north door opened. 4 guards emerged. Then more. They were moving. Actually moving. Heading south toward the fabricated boat dock. It worked, Garrett breathed. Not yet, it hasn't. Dominic keyed his comm. All teams, they're dividing their forces. Alpha take the north entrance as soon as it's clear. Bravo maintain position on east. I'm going in the front door. 30 seconds. Boss, that's suicide. That's an order. Dominic looked at Iris, knelt down to her level one more time. You stay with Margaret. If shooting starts, you run. You don't look back. You don't try to help. You just run and you keep running until you're somewhere safe. Understood? But the kids will be fine. Garrett's team knows what they're doing. And Theo, your nephew. Something flickered across Dominic's face. Pain, maybe. Or fear that he had learned to hide so well it only showed in cracks. "I'll get him. Promise. I promise." He started to stand. Iris grabbed his hand. "Mr. Wolf, when my mommy died, she told me something. She said that the people we love never really leave us. They live in here." Iris touched her chest, over her heart. "Your sister Catherine, she's still with you and she's proud of what you're doing." Dominic's eyes burned. "How do you know what Catherine would think?" "Because I know what my mommy would think. She'd think that you're a good man trying to do a good thing. And that's all that matters." For the first time in 8 years, Dominic felt Catherine's presence. Not as a ghost haunting him, but as a memory warming him, giving him strength. "Thank you, Iris." "Don't thank me. Just come back alive." The warehouse smelled like rust and desperation. Dominic moved through the shadows like a predator born to darkness. Behind him, Margaret followed, silent, professional. Her detective training overriding her mother's panic. Most of the guards had moved to the south side, chasing the phantom boat dock, but not all. Vaughn was too smart for that. 2 men stood watch inside the main entrance. Dominic studied them from behind a stack of pallets, both armed, both alert. "I can't take them both without noise," he whispered into his comm. "Then don't." Iris's voice crackled in his ear. Dominic froze. "Iris, you're supposed to be with Margaret." "I'm with Margaret. She's right behind me." "What are you?" But Iris was already moving. She had slipped from Margaret's grasp when the detective was checking her weapon. Now she stepped into the open. A small girl with tangled hair walking into a warehouse full of killers. The guards saw her, raised their weapons. "Don't shoot!" Iris's voice was high, frightened. Everything a scared child should be. "Please, I got lost. I'm looking for my daddy." The guards exchanged glances, lowered their weapons slightly. "Kid, how did you get in here?" "The door was open. I was playing hide and seek and I got lost and I'm scared and..." One guard moved toward her. "All right, calm down. We'll help you find." Margaret stepped from the shadows behind him. Service weapon pressed to the base of his skull. "Don't move. Don't speak. Hands on your head." The second guard spun. Dominic was already there. Gun to the man's temple. "On your knees, slowly." 30 seconds later, both guards were zip-tied and gagged, secured behind the pallets. Dominic grabbed Iris's shoulder. "What did I tell you about staying safe?" "You told me to run if shooting started. Nobody's shooting." "That's not..." "It worked, didn't it?" Margaret actually smiled. "She's got you there." Dominic wanted to be angry, wanted to lecture this child about the dangers of what she had just done, but there was no time. "Stay close, stay quiet, stay alive." They moved deeper into the warehouse. The containers were arranged in rows. Metal boxes that had once held cargo, now they held children. Iris led them to the 3rd row. 5th container. She knew. She remembered. Inside 7 children huddled together. Ruby saw them first, her small face pressed against the gap in the container doors. "Mommy!" Margaret's hand flew to her mouth. "Ruby, baby, yes, I'm here." "You came. You really came." "Of course I came. I'll always come for you." Dominic worked on the lock. It was heavy, industrial, meant to keep containers secure during shipping, not meant to keep children prisoner. "I don't have the key," he muttered. "Then shoot it." The noise, a sound from above, footsteps on the metal catwalk that ran along the warehouse's 2nd level. They all froze. A voice cut through the darkness. Smooth, cultured, wrong in every way. Well, Dominic Wolf, right on time." A spotlight blazed to life, blinding. Dominic threw his arm up to shield his eyes. When his vision cleared, he saw them. Silas Vaughn stood on the catwalk, flanked by 6 guards, all armed, all aimed at Dominic. And next to Vaughn, displayed on a large video screen that had been wheeled into position, was a man Dominic recognized, Marco Benedetto, the godfather of New York's most powerful crime family, the man who had killed his sister. "Hello, Dominic," Marco said through the screen. His voice was pleasant, almost friendly. It's been a long time. Dominic's gun rose, aimed at Vaughn. Let the children go. Now why would I do that? They're the only reason you're here. Marco leaned forward, his face filling the screen. Did you think I wouldn't find out about the boy? About Catherine's son I've known for years. Just been waiting for the right moment to use that information. Catherine had nothing to do with your operations. Catherine was going to testify against me. She was going to put me in prison for the rest of my life. So I made sure she never got the chance. The words hung in the air like poison gas. Iris, hidden in the shadows with Margaret, felt the change in Dominic, felt his rage building like a wave about to break. You killed her. You killed my sister. I ended a threat. That's what leaders do. Marco smiled. No warmth. All teeth. And now I'm ending another threat. You. Silas Vaughn raised his hand. Guards tensed. This was it. The moment where everyone died. And then Iris did something that no one expected. She stepped into the light. Stop. Every weapon turned toward her. Margaret lunged. Iris, no. But Iris stood her ground. Small, brave, impossible. You want to kill him? Kill Metawolf, fine. But let the kids go first. They didn't do anything wrong. Silas laughed. And who are you, little girl? I'm Iris Whitmore. I'm 7 years old. And I'm not afraid of you. She was lying. She was terrified. But her voice did not shake. Brave child. But bravery won't save you now. Not bravery. Just truth. Iris took a step forward. My mommy died. She got sick and the medicine didn't work and she died. But before she died, she told me something. She said that hurting people who can't fight back doesn't make you strong. It makes you a coward. The warehouse went silent. Marco Benedetto, watching through the screen, leaned forward, studying this child with interest. Dominic, where did you find this one? She found me. Fascinating. Marco's smile widened. Tell me, little girl, would you die for these other children? Yes. Why? Because they're kids, and kids deserve to be protected, even from monsters like you. For a moment, just a moment, something flickered across Marco's face. Surprise maybe, or respect. Then it was gone. Kill them all. Silas raised his weapon. Dominic bought to shield Iris. Margaret pulled Ruby's container door, trying desperately to break the lock. And then the world exploded into chaos. The first shot came from above. Not from Vaughn's men, from Garrett. He had climbed to the warehouse's third level, positioned himself behind an air conditioning unit. And when Vaughn gave the order to kill, Garrett did what he did best. He eliminated the threat. The bullet caught Vaughn in the shoulder, spun him around. His weapon clattered to the catwalk. Now! Dominic screamed into his comm. Alpha team breached the north entrance. Bravo crashed through the east. The warehouse filled with the sound of boots on concrete. Weapons being racked. Orders shouted. But Vaughn's men were already firing. Dominic grabbed Iris, pulled her behind a container. Margaret threw herself over Ruby's prison, using her body as a shield. Bullets ricocheted off metal, sparked in the darkness. The children inside the container screamed. Garrett, Dominic shouted into his comm. Get those kids out. Working on it, boss. Garrett rappelled down from the third level, hit the ground running, reached the first container, pulled out a set of bolt cutters, started working on the lock. On the video screen, Marco Benedetto watched it all with cold satisfaction. You think you've won, Dominic. You think saving these children matters. I have armies. I have resources. I have patience. You've won a battle, but I'll win the war. Dominic rose from cover, fired 3 shots, each one precise, each one dropping a guard. The war's over, Marco. You're finished. Am I? Look around you. Your men are outnumbered, outgunned. And even if you survive tonight, I'll come for the boy. I'll come for Catherine's son. I'll make sure he suffers the way she suffered. Something in Dominic snapped. He started moving toward the catwalk, toward Vaughn, toward the screen that showed Marco's face. Boss, wait. Garrett's voice in his comm. It's a trap. But Dominic was beyond hearing, beyond reason. 8 years of grief and guilt and rage propelling him forward. Iris saw it happening, saw the darkness taking him. No! She broke from cover, ran after Dominic. Mr. Wolf, stop! Bullets chewed up the concrete around her. Margaret screamed. Garrett abandoned the lock he was working on and sprinted to intercept her. But it was Dominic who reached her first. He tackled Iris, covered her body with his, felt a bullet meant for her tear through his shoulder instead. The pain was white hot, blinding. But he held on. Stay down. You're hurt. I'm fine. Blood soaked through his jacket, dripped onto the floor. He was not fine. Margaret appeared, dragged them both behind a concrete pillar. You're hit. How bad? Through and through, I'll live. On the catwalk, Silas Vaughn had recovered, was speaking urgently into his phone. They're here, all of them, send everyone, send. Garrett's second shot took him in the leg. Vaughn went down, screaming. All teams! Garrett's voice cut through the chaos. Containers! Now get those kids out. Alpha team reached the first container. Blew the lock with a shaped charge. The door swung open. 2 children stumbled out, 6 years old. Twins, Emma and Ella. They saw men with guns and screamed, but then they saw Iris. Iris, you came back. Iris pulled away from Dominic, ran to them despite Margaret's protests, wrapped them both in a hug. I promised, didn't I? I always keep my promises. More containers opening, more children emerging, blinking in the harsh light, terrified, traumatized, but alive. Ruby saw her mother and ran. Margaret caught her, held her so tight it hurt, both of them crying. Maya, the oldest at 10, helped the younger ones, guided them toward the exit where Dominic's men waited. 7 children, all accounted for, but one more remained. Theo. On the video screen, Marco Benedetto smiled. Looking for someone, Dominic. Your nephew is upstairs, 3rd floor, the office. But if you want him, you'll have to come alone and unarmed. Boss, don't. I'm going. Dominic struggled to his feet. His shoulder was on fire, blood loss making him dizzy. Garrett, get everyone out. All the children, all our people, now. What about you? I'll get Theo. Then I'll get out. Iris grabbed his hand. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. He's scared. He's alone. He needs to see a kid, not a stranger. Iris, you need me. You know you do. Dominic looked at this impossible girl, this brave, foolish, heartbreaking girl. If I say run, you run. No questions, no hesitation. Deal. Margaret stepped forward. Then I'm coming too. Detective. Someone needs to watch both your backs, and I'm the only one here with actual tactical training. Dominic almost smiled. Fair point. And they moved through the warehouse, past the empty containers, past the guards that Garrett's team had subdued, up the metal stairs to the 2nd level, then the 3rd. The office door stood open, light spilling out. Inside, Theo Wolf sat tied to a chair, 8 years old. Brown curly hair, brown eyes full of defiance and fear. But it was the man standing behind him that made Dominic's heart stop. Not Silas Vaughn, Vincent Rizzo, Tommy's father, Dominic's trusted lieutenant, holding a gun to Theo's head. I'm sorry, boss. Vincent's voice shook. I'm so sorry. But they have my boys. They have my family. I don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Not this time. Not when it's your children. On the video screen mounted on the office wall, Marco Benedetto laughed. Beautiful, isn't it? I turned your most loyal man against you, used his love for his sons, weaponized it. Marco leaned forward. That's the difference between us, Dominic. I understand that love makes us weak. You never learned that lesson. Love doesn't make us weak. Iris stepped into the room. Love makes us strong enough to do hard things. All eyes turned to her. And who is this? My name is Iris, and you're wrong. Am I? Yes. Iris walked toward Vincent, slowly, carefully. Mr. Rizzo doesn't want to hurt anyone. He's scared. He's trying to protect his kids. That's not weakness. That's the strongest thing in the world. She stopped in front of Vincent, looked up at him with those hazel eyes that saw too much. Tommy came to help us. Did you know that your son, he warned us. He made the phone call that saved all those kids. Because you taught him to be brave. You taught him to help people, even when it's hard. Vincent's hand trembled. Tommy, he's outside, waiting for you. He knows you didn't want to betray Mr. Wolf. He knows you were trying to protect him. But Vaughn lied. That's what bad people do. They lie. But you're not a bad person, Mr. Rizzo. You're a dad, and dads protect their kids, not hurt other people's kids. The gun lowered, just an inch, but enough. Margaret moved, fast, professional, disarmed Vincent in 3 smooth motions, had him on the ground, hands secured. Dominic lunged for Theo, cut the ropes, pulled the boy into his arms, and for the first time in 8 years, uncle and nephew held each other. But Theo pulled back, confusion on his young face. Who are you? Dominic's world tilted. Theo, it's me. It's Uncle Dominic. I don't have an uncle. The words hit like bullets. You do. I'm your mother's brother. Catherine was my sister. Mom's dead. She died when I was a baby. I know. And I've been watching over you ever since. The gifts, the money for school, the college fund, that was all me. Theo's eyes widened. You're the one who, yes. But why didn't you ever come? Why didn't you ever tell me? Because I was trying to keep you safe. Everyone I love becomes a target. So you loved me from far away. Yes. Tears filled Theo's eyes. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. And then he hugged Dominic, fierce and tight and real. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming. On the screen, Marco Benedetto's face twisted with rage. This isn't over, Wolf. I'll come for all of you. The screen went dark. Garrett's voice crackled through the comm. Boss, we've got federal agents incoming. They monitored everything through Iris's camera. They're moving to arrest Benedetto in New York right now. We need to move. Time to go. Dominic stood, still holding Theo. Everyone out. Vincent looked up from the floor. Boss, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dominic knelt down. Tommy helped us tonight. Your son was brave. He'll be protected. And so will you. Testify against Benedetto. Help us end this. And your family stays safe. Vincent nodded through tears. Thank you, boss. Thank you. They ran. Down the stairs. Through the warehouse. Past the empty containers that had held children. Out into the Boston night where police sirens wailed in the distance. Garrett had the vehicles ready. Dominic's men loaded the children. 7 scared kids wrapped in blankets, being taken to safe houses, to doctors, to therapists who specialized in trauma. Margaret held Ruby, refusing to let go. I have to stay, she told Dominic. I'm a cop. I need to be here when the feds arrive to give a statement. You'll be implicated. I don't care. My daughter's safe. That's all that matters. Dominic nodded, respect in his eyes. You're a good mother, detective. And you're a good man, Wolf. Don't let anyone tell you different. Iris stood between them, small, tired, covered in dust and someone else's blood. Ruby ran to her, hugged her. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for not forgetting. I'll never forget you, Ruby. Never. The sirens were closer now, flashing lights visible in the distance. We have to go, Garrett urged. Dominic lifted Iris into the SUV. Theo climbed in beside her. 2 children who had both lost mothers, both found something unexpected in the darkness. As they pulled away, Iris looked back at the warehouse, at the place where 8 children had waited for rescue, at the place where she had learned that sometimes bravery meant stepping into the light even when you wanted to hide in the shadows. Did we win? Theo asked quietly. Iris thought about it, about Ruby reunited with her mother, about the twins who were finally safe, about Vincent Rizzo choosing to lower his weapon at the last moment. Yes, she said, we won. But as the SUV carried them into the night, Dominic's shoulder throbbing, his sister's son beside him, and a brave 7-year-old girl who had changed everything. He knew the truth, the battle was won, but Marco Benedetto still needed to face justice, and somehow they would all be part of making sure that happened. Chapter 10. Aftermath and Reckoning. The safe house smelled like antiseptic and coffee. Dominic sat on a kitchen chair while a doctor Garrett trusted stitched his shoulder wound. 17 stitches. The bullet had gone clean through. Lucky, the doctor said. 2 inches to the right and it would have hit an artery. Dominic did not feel lucky. He felt exhausted, felt old, felt the weight of 30 years of violence pressing down on him like stones piled on a drowning man. Theo had not left his side. The 8-year-old boy sat on the floor, back against Dominic's leg, silent, processing, his small hand occasionally reaching up to touch his uncle's knee, making sure he was real, making sure he was still there. Iris sat at the kitchen table with a cup of hot chocolate she had not touched. Her hazel eyes tracked everything. The doctor's movements, the way Garrett paced by the window, the police scanner crackling in the corner. Federal agents secured the warehouse, Garrett said, listening to the scanner. They're finding everything, the containers, the evidence, Vaughn's records. He paused, and Vaughn himself shot twice, singing like a canary about the Benedetto operation. Marco, already lawyered up in New York, but with Vaughn's testimony and the recording from Iris's camera, Garrett smiled grimly. He's going down. He'll fight it. Let him fight. The feds have enough now to bury him. The doctor finished the last stitch, bandaged Dominic's shoulder, gave him antibiotics and pain medication he probably would not take. You need rest, real rest, not your version of rest where you stay up all night planning. I'll rest when this is over. It is over, boss, Garrett said quietly. We got the kids out, all of them. Vincent Rizzo's testifying against Benedetto. Detective Thorne is handling the official investigation. We won. But Dominic knew better. Wars did not end with one battle, especially not wars with men like Marco Benedetto. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You think you've won. You haven't. I'm coming for you, Wolf. And when I do, that little girl who thought she could lecture me, she dies first. MB. Dominic's hand clenched around the phone. Rage and fear mixing into something cold and sharp. Iris saw his face change. What's wrong? Nothing. You're lying again. She was right. He was lying. And she deserved better than lies. Marco Benedetto sent a threat against you. The kitchen went silent. Theo looked up. Who's Marco Benedetto? A very bad man, Iris said simply. The man who killed your mommy. Theo's face crumpled. He killed my mom. Dominic pulled the boy into his lap, careful of his injured shoulder. Yes, 8 years ago, in a car accident that wasn't an accident. Why? Because your mother was going to tell the police about bad things he was doing, and he couldn't let that happen. So he murdered her. The word hung in the air. Murder. Not an accident. Not tragedy. Murder. Yes. Theo was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was small but steady. Are you going to kill him? Dominic thought about it, about how easy it would be, how satisfying, how Catherine deserved that justice. But then he looked at Iris, at this 7-year-old girl who had told Marco Benedetto that hurting people did not make you strong, who had talked Vincent Rizzo down from killing by appealing to his love for his sons. No, Dominic said. I'm going to let the law handle him. But what if the law doesn't work? What if he gets away? Then we'll deal with it, together, as a family. Theo looked up. We're a family, if you want to be. What about my foster parents, the Hendersons? They've been taking care of me. They're good people, and they love you, but they also know who I am now, and they agreed that you should be with me if you want to be. Tears filled Theo's eyes. I want to be with you. I have always wanted to be with you, even before I knew who you were, even when you were just the person sending me gifts. Dominic felt something break and heal simultaneously in his chest. This boy, Catherine's boy. Then you're with me, for as long as you want. Iris smiled, small but genuine. See, families can be made, not just born. Garrett's phone rang. He answered, listened. His face went pale. Boss, we have a problem. The problem was Caleb Whitmore. Iris's father had been taken from his apartment 2 hours ago. 4 men, wearing masks, driving a black van with no plates. They left a note on his kitchen table. We have the mechanic. If you want him alive, bring the girl. Pier 23, 1 hour. Come alone or he dies screaming. MB Iris stood in front of the note, reading it over and over. Her young hands clenched into fists. He took my daddy. Yes, because of me. Because Marco Benedetto is a coward who hurts innocent people. I have to go. Iris turned to Dominic. I have to trade myself for daddy. Absolutely not. No. Dominic knelt down. Eye level. Listen to me very carefully, Iris. Men like Benedetto don't honor deals. If you go there, he kills both of you. That's not rescue. That's suicide. Then what do? Garrett cleared his throat. We go in hard, full team, overwhelming force, and risk Caleb's life. It's already at risk. Dominic's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. Wolf. Marco Benedetto's voice was smooth, pleasant, wrong. I have something that belongs to you. In the background, a man's scream. Caleb. Iris lunged for the phone. Daddy. Ah, the little girl. The one with so much to say about strength and cowardice. Marco's voice turned cold. Let me teach you a lesson about power. Real power. The kind that doesn't care about morality or mercy. Another scream. Iris was shaking. Stop hurting him, please. Come to Pier 23. 1 hour. Alone. Or I start removing pieces of your father, starting with his fingers. The line went dead. Iris collapsed. Dominic caught her, held her while she shook with silent sobs. I can't let him die. I can't. He's my daddy. He won't die. I promise. How can you promise that? Because. Dominic gently wiped tears from her face. You taught me something important. You taught me that being brave means doing the right thing even when it's hard. And the right thing is not trading your life for his. The right thing is being smarter than our enemies. But we only have an hour. Then we better move fast. Garrett was already on his phone, calling in every available man, every favor owed, every resource at their disposal. Theo touched Iris's arm. We'll get him back. Uncle Dominic always keeps his promises. Does he? He kept his promise to my mom. Even after she died, he watched over me for 8 years, sent me gifts, made sure I was okay. He'll do the same for your dad. Iris looked at Dominic, really looked at him. This man who had lost his sister, who had spent 8 years protecting a nephew from the shadows, who had taken a scared little girl seriously when everyone else would have dismissed her. Okay, she said. What's the plan? Pier 23 was smaller than Pier 17, more isolated, no warehouses, just a concrete dock jutting into Boston Harbor, the perfect place for a murder. Marco Benedetto had chosen well. Dominic studied the location from 3 blocks away through military-grade binoculars. 4 men visible on the dock. Caleb Whitmore tied to a chair in the center, bloodied, beaten, but alive. I don't see Benedetto, Garrett muttered. He's there, watching from somewhere safe. The yacht, Iris pointed. 100 yards offshore, a luxury yacht sat at anchor, lights blazing. That's where he is. How do you know? Because that's where I'd be if I was a coward who liked to watch but not get dirty. Despite everything, Dominic almost smiled. You're right. So how do we get to him? We don't. Not yet. First we get your father. Garrett had assembled a team of 8, all former military, all loyal to Dominic, all willing to die if necessary. But it was Iris who had the idea that changed everything. They're expecting you, she said. They're expecting violence. They're expecting grown-ups with guns. And so give them something they're not expecting. Give them me. No. Wait. Garrett held up a hand. Let her finish. Iris took a breath, organized her thoughts the way her mother had taught her. Start with the problem, then the solution, then the steps. Problem. They have my daddy. If we attack, they kill him before we can save him. Correct. Solution. I walk in, I trade myself for daddy, but I don't actually trade myself. I don't follow. You put a wire on me, a camera. I go in talking, I stall. I make Benedetto come out from the yacht because he'll want to gloat. He'll want to see me scared. And while I keep him busy, your team gets daddy out the back way. Silence. Then Garrett. That's actually not terrible. It's suicide, Dominic said flatly. It's a plan. Iris met his eyes, and it's the only one that doesn't get daddy killed. What about you? What happens when Benedetto realizes what we're doing? You'll get to me before that happens. And if I don't, Iris was quiet for a moment, then I'll be brave and scared at the same time, just like mommy taught me. Dominic wanted to refuse, wanted to lock this child somewhere safe and handle this himself the way he had handled everything for 30 years. With violence, with certainty, with no regard for his own survival. But Iris had taught him something. She had taught him that sometimes the brave thing was not charging in. It was trusting others. It was letting people help. If I agree to this, and I'm not saying I am, you wear a vest, you follow my orders exactly. And the second I say, run, you run. Deal. 30 minutes later, Iris wore a bulletproof vest under her jacket. A tiny camera was pinned to her collar, an earpiece hidden under her hair, the feed broadcasting directly to FBI agents staged nearby. She looked impossibly small, impossibly young, impossibly brave. Remember, Dominic said, you stall, you talk, you keep Benedetto engaged, we'll handle the rest. I know. And Iris, yeah, your mother would be very proud of you. Tears filled her eyes. You think so? I know so. She nodded, wiped her face, became brave again, and walked toward the pier alone. The 4 men on the dock saw Iris approaching, raised their weapons. One spoke into a radio. Iris kept walking, small feet on concrete, each step an act of defiance against everything that wanted to stop her. She reached the dock. The men surrounded her. I'm here, she said, her voice steady despite the fear crawling up her spine. Let my daddy go. One man grabbed her arm, rough, painful. Not so fast, kid. Boss wants to see you first. They dragged her to where Caleb sat tied to the chair. His face was swollen, blood crusted on his lips, but when he saw Iris, his eyes filled with horror. Iris baby, no, you shouldn't be here. I couldn't let them hurt you, daddy. They're going to hurt you worse. They're going to... A fist to Caleb's stomach silenced him. Iris lunged. Stop. Don't hurt him. Laughter from the yacht. Marco Benedetto's voice crackled over a loudspeaker. How touching. The little girl and her pathetic father. Tell me, child, do you still think love makes us strong? Iris looked toward the yacht, toward the lights and luxury and evil. Yes, even now, when your father is bleeding because of you, when you're about to die because of your choices. Especially now, more laughter. Then, bring her aboard. I want to talk to this brave little girl face to face. One of the men grabbed Iris, started pulling her toward a small motorboat. In her ear, Dominic's voice. We're moving. Garrett's team is approaching from the water. Hold on. But Marco was already descending from the yacht, taking a smaller boat, coming to the dock himself. He wanted to be close, wanted to see her fear. The motorboat reached the dock. Marco Benedetto stepped out. He was shorter than Iris expected, maybe 55 years old. Expensive suit, silver hair, soft hands that had never done violence themselves but had ordered plenty. He looked at Iris like someone examining an interesting insect. You're the girl who lectured me about strength. Yes, sir. Sir. He smiled. At least you have manners, unlike your protector, Dominic Wolf. Mr. Wolf is a good man. Mr. Wolf is a criminal, a killer, a Metan who has spent his entire life hurting people. He protects kids because he feels guilty about his sister. Catherine was weak. She chose conscience over survival, and it got her killed. Iris felt rage building in her chest. She wasn't weak. She was brave. Brave, Marco laughed. She was foolish. She could have lived. All she had to do was keep quiet. But no, she had to be noble, had to do the right thing. He leaned down, close to Iris's face. And where did that get her dead at 28, leaving behind a son, leaving behind a brother who spent 8 years drowning in guilt? At least she died being good. You'll die being remembered as a monster. The smile dropped from Marco's face. Foolish words for someone in your position. They're not foolish words, they're true words. Marco straightened, nodded to one of his men. Kill the father, let the girl watch. No. The man raised his gun, pointed it at Caleb's head. Time slowed. Iris saw Caleb close his eyes, saw him mouth the words, I love you, saw the man's finger tighten on the trigger, and then chaos. Garrett's team burst from the water. 8 men in tactical gear, weapons up, moving with military precision. The man pointing the gun at Caleb spun, fired wild. The bullet went wide. Garrett put 2 rounds in his chest. Center mass. The man dropped. The other 3 guards returned fire. The dock erupted into a gunfight. Marco grabbed Iris, used her as a shield. A knife appeared in his hand, pressed to her throat. Stop! His voice cut through the chaos. Everyone stop or I open this child's throat. The shooting stopped. Garrett and his team held position. Weapons trained, but not firing. And then Dominic stepped onto the dock. He had been circling from the south, waiting for his moment. Now he walked through the smoke and blood and chaos like a ghost made solid. Let her go, Marco. Or what? You'll kill me, you're outnumbered. Outmaneuvered, I win. No. Dominic stopped 20 feet away. You've already lost. How do you figure? Because every word you've said tonight has been recorded. Every threat, every order to kill, every admission of murder. Dominic pointed to Iris's collar. That camera there broadcasting live to the FBI. They've been watching, listening, building their case. Marco's face went white. You're lying. Am I? Look behind you. Marco turned. At that moment, federal agents appeared. Not boarding his yacht, they were already surrounding the dock. Dozens of them, weapons drawn, warrants in hand. They'd been staged nearby, waiting for the signal. They knew where to find you because you came out of hiding to kill a child. Dominic said, your ego got you caught, Marco, just like Catherine predicted it would. The knife trembled against Iris's throat. If I'm going down, she's coming with me. No. Theo's voice. The 8-year-old boy appeared from behind a shipping container. You don't get to hurt anyone else, not ever again. He was holding something. A phone. Recording. I'm Theo Wolf. My mother was Catherine Wolf. And I just recorded you admitting you killed her. Everyone's going to see this. Everyone's going to know what you did. Marco's hand shook. The knife drew blood. Just a drop. Iris didn't flinch. You can kill me, she said quietly. But it won't change anything. You'll still go to prison. You'll still be caught. And everyone will remember you as the man who was so scared of a 7-year-old girl that he had to hide behind her. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Marco lowered the knife. Federal agents swarmed him, knocked him to the ground, cuffed him. As they dragged him away, he looked at Iris one last time. You should have stayed hidden, little girl. You should have let the adults handle this. Iris touched her throat, felt the small cut, the blood. Adults had 30 years to stop you. It took a kid 1 week. The hospital was quiet at 3 a.m. Iris sat in the emergency room while a doctor cleaned and bandaged the cut on her throat. It was shallow, would heal without stitches, would leave a small scar. You're very lucky, the doctor said. Another millimeter and it would have been serious. I don't feel lucky. No, I imagine you don't. Caleb sat beside her, his own injuries bandaged, broken ribs, fractured cheekbone, bruises that would take weeks to fade, but alive. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry, Iris girl. This is all my fault. I borrowed money I couldn't repay. I put you in danger. Stop. Iris took his hand. You borrowed money to save mommy. That's what love looks like. That's what family does. But you almost died. But I didn't. And neither did you. And the bad man is going to jail forever. That's what matters. Caleb pulled her into a gentle hug, both of them crying now, relief and trauma and love all mixed together. Dominic watched from the doorway, Theo beside him, both of them exhausted, both of them safe. Detective Margaret Thorne appeared with coffee. Federal prosecutor says Marco Benedetto is facing 47 charges, including murder, kidnapping, racketeering. Between Vaughn's testimony, Vincent Rizzo's cooperation and the recording Iris got, she smiled. He'll die in prison. Good. Iris is a hero. You know that, right? That little girl saved everyone. She did. What happens now to her, to Theo? Dominic looked at the two children. Theo, who had lost his mother 8 years ago. Iris, who had lost hers 2 years ago. Both of them brave, both of them broken, both of them healing. Now we become a family. 3 months later, Marco Benedetto stood before a federal judge in a Boston courtroom. The charges were read, 47 counts, murder, kidnapping, racketeering, extortion, conspiracy, witness tampering. The evidence was overwhelming. Vincent Rizzo testified for 3 days about the operation, about his blackmail, about how Dominic had given him a second chance. Tommy Rizzo provided documents his father had hidden as insurance. Silas Vaughn, facing his own charges, corroborated everything. And Iris's camera footage. The recording of Marco admitting to killing Catherine, threatening to murder a 7-year-old girl, using children as weapons. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge showed no mercy. Mr. Benedetto, you have built an empire on the suffering of others. You have terrorized families, murdered innocents, threatened children. This court sentences you to 3 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. You will spend the rest of your natural life in federal prison. Marco showed no emotion, but as they led him away in chains, he looked at the gallery, where Dominic sat, with Iris on one side, Theo on the other, a family built from the ashes of Marco's violence. And for the first time, Marco Benedetto understood that he hadn't just lost, he had been defeated by something he could never understand. Love. Boston Family Court was less intimidating than Iris expected. Just a wood-paneled room with a kind judge who smiled at her. Iris Whitmore, do you understand what's happening today? Yes, ma'am. I'm being adopted. And do you want to be adopted by Dominic Wolfe? Iris looked at Dominic, this man who had started as a stranger, become a protector, then a friend, then family. Yes, ma'am. Very much. And Mr. Whitmore, you're supportive of this adoption. Caleb stood. He looked healthier now, had quit the dangerous work, had started at one of Dominic's legitimate businesses, making enough to support himself with dignity. Iris will always be my daughter. Biology doesn't change that, but Mr. Wolfe can give her things I can't. Safety, opportunity, a future. His voice cracked. He saved her life. He saved mine. And now he's giving us both a chance to heal. I'll always be grateful. The judge nodded. And Iris, you understand you'll have 2 fathers now. 2 men who love you and want what's best for you. Yes, ma'am. One who made me. One who chose me. That's a beautiful way to put it. The gavel came down. Adoption granted. Iris Whitmore Wolfe, welcome to your new family. Theo cheered. Garrett wiped his eyes. Beatrice Sullivan, sitting in the back row, sobbed openly. Iris ran to Dominic. He picked her up, held her close. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For pretending to be my dad, and then deciding to be my dad for real. Thank you for choosing me, for seeing something in me worth saving. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. The story had made national news. The little girl who took down a mob boss. The Mafia protector who became a father, the detective who risked everything to save her daughter. But Dominic avoided them all, took Iris and Theo home. Home was a brownstone in a better neighborhood, not the North End anymore. Somewhere quieter, safer, with a yard where children could play. That Sunday the Wolfe household was full of life. Caleb Whitmore arrived at noon carrying his toolbox. He'd been fixing the back porch railing, part of his weekly routine. Still Iris's father by blood, still part of her life, but comfortable now with sharing that role with Dominic. How's my Irish girl? Caleb hugged his daughter. Good daddy Caleb, I got an A on my essay. That's my girl, smart like your mother. At 1 p.m., Margaret Thorne's car pulled up. Ruby burst out, 8 years old now, growing but still remembering. Iris. The two girls who had survived together hugged, then ran off to play, leaving the adults to talk. How's she doing? Dominic asked Margaret. Better. Still has nightmares sometimes, but therapy helps, and knowing Iris is safe helps more. Margaret smiled. She talks about you, about how the scary mafia man became a father, says it's her favorite real-life story. Not so scary anymore. No, I suppose you're not. Tommy Rizzo arrived at 2, 17 now, tall, working part-time at Dominic's security firm, learning honest work from a man who understood second chances. Boss, got those reports you wanted. Tommy, you can call me Dominic now. We're not in that business anymore. I know, but you gave my dad a second chance. Gave me a future. Boss feels respectful. Vincent Rizzo had testified against Benedetto, helped the FBI dismantle the entire operation. In exchange witness protection for him and his sons, they'd moved upstate, started over, lived clean. Your father called yesterday, Dominic said. He's proud of you. I'm proud of him. He made hard choices. For us. At 3, Beatrice Sullivan arrived with fresh bread, because some traditions never changed. My bakery still has that back room, she told Dominic quietly. Still keep it ready, just in case someone else needs saving. Because there would always be someone else. Always be another scared child. Another desperate parent, another person who needed protection. But now, Dominic had help, had family, had a purpose that went beyond violence. That evening, Iris sat at her desk. Writing My Hero by Iris Whitmore Wolfe, age 9. My hero isn't a superhero or a movie star. He's my dad. His name is Dominic Wolfe. He used to be someone scary. Someone people were afraid of. But then I met him and I saw something different. I saw someone who wanted to protect people, who wanted to be good even when it was hard. My dad taught me that being brave doesn't mean being scared. It means being scared and doing the right thing anyway. He also taught me that families aren't just about blood. They're about choice, about choosing to love someone even when it's difficult. I chose him, and he chose me back. And that makes us a real family. My dad isn't perfect. Sometimes he has nightmares about the bad things that happened. Sometimes he blames himself for things that weren't his fault. But that's okay, because I have nightmares too. And we help each other. That's what families do. Downstairs, Dominic was helping Theo with algebra. The boy was 10 now. Tall like his mother had been. Smart, kind, everything Catherine would have wanted. Dad. Theo looked up. He called Dominic that now. Dad, not uncle. Do you ever wonder what mom would think about all this? Every day. And I think she'd be proud of both of us, of how we didn't let her death destroy us, how we found each other, how we built something good from something terrible. You think Iris would have liked her? I know she would have. A knock at the door. Dominic tensed. Old instincts dying hard. But it was just Garrett, retired now, running legitimate security operations, living clean. Boss, got something you should see. He handed Dominic an envelope, no return address, postmarked from upstate New York. Inside a photograph, old, faded, Catherine, pregnant, standing next to an ultrasound image, but not just any ultrasound. 2 babies, side by side, twins. On the back of the photo handwriting Dominic recognized, Catherine's handwriting. If you're reading this, I'm gone. But there's something you need to know. Theo has a twin sister. I hid her, kept her safe from the people who wanted to hurt me. Find her Dom, protect her. She's in the foster system under the name Emma Thorne. She's your family. Don't let her grow up alone. Dominic's hands shook. Boss, Theo has a sister. Catherine had twins. What? Iris appeared at the top of the stairs. She had been listening. Of course she had. We have to find her. Iris, this is family. She's family. And family protects each other. Iris came down the stairs, took the photo, studied it. Where do we start? Dominic looked at this child, this impossible, brave, heartbreaking child who had changed his life 2 years ago by running into a cafe and asking him to pretend to be her father. She had saved him, given him purpose, given him family, and now she was ready to do it again, to save someone else, to build their family bigger. We start with the foster system records. We find Emma Thorne. We bring her home. Together. Theo joined them, the three of them standing in the hallway, a family built from broken pieces, ready to add another piece, ready to save another life, because that was what they did now. They were protectors, they were heroes, they were family, and they always kept their promises. That night, Iris stood in her room, looking at the photograph of Catherine, at the ultrasound showing two babies. Somewhere out there, a girl named Emma Thorne was living without knowing she had family, without knowing that her brother Theo was searching for her, that Dominic was ready to protect her, that Iris was ready to be her sister. Iris touched the small scar on her throat, the mark Marco Benedetto had left, a reminder of how close she had come to losing everything, but also a reminder of how far they had all come. "I'll find you, Emma," Iris whispered to the photograph. "I promise." And I always keep my promises. Outside her window, Boston glittered in the darkness. A city full of people, full of stories, full of broken families waiting to be healed. And in a brownstone in a quiet neighborhood, a former Mafia boss, his nephew, his adopted daughter, and all the people who had become their extended family prepared for their next adventure. Because some families are born, some families are chosen, and the very best families are built from courage, love, and the willingness to fight for each other no matter what. Iris Whitmore Wolfe closed her eyes. Tomorrow they would start searching. Tomorrow they would begin the next chapter. But tonight she was safe. She was loved. She was home. And that was enough. The strongest families aren't the ones born without struggles. They're the ones who choose each other despite them. Iris Whitmore Wolfe, age 9.